So, I had written out my topics for tonight and tried to organize them into different things, being tech, religion, science, culture, and politics. And I actually had this one in the culture section along with the other celebrity news and everything. But I actually bumped it up to religion earlier tonight to kind of go after the one article that we just went over before, because I really feel that it deals with it. And a lot of the talk shows, radio shows, and everything I've been listening to have been covering this. Because it's just interesting, and people think that they see people falling apart, right? Have you guys seen Jim Carrey on the Icon
interview?
Awards interview?
Yeah, but then it was followed up with another article about he got picked up for a TV show, and it was called Dark Comedy. So I was just, I haven't actually read the whole second article, but they said it was his first return to TV since In Living Color, and
grew up with In Living Color.
And they just, in the first few sentences I read, said it's considerably darker comedy than that. So I was, I don't know. Is Jim Carrey a method actor historically?
I think he does get pretty serious though. Even when he was doing some of his non-comedy roles, like the Truman Show, I heard he was pretty kind of crazy.
I know the new
Truman
TV show is
great.
The new TV show is with one of the same directors that was involved in, was it Spotless Minds? Which was a kind of a bizarre, dark, weird type of
I've
movie.
heard it's good, but I haven't seen it.
I'm waiting to see if that was like a
publicity stunt.
Well, it's almost like when he did Man on the Moon.
If he was pulling
Andy Kaufman.
The Andy Kaufman movie, and Andy Kaufman was known for that, pulling stunts on shows to kind of build up his character,
It's actually in
advertising.
Yeah.
Well, who's that actor that went?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Walk the Line. And
Yes.
he went with that for like 2 years before he finally came out and said, I'm not really crazy, but So I'm waiting to see if that was.
It's interesting to see this conversation play out the way it is before I actually get into it.
I haven't even seen it.
Because I think that's what a lot of people are trying to theorize, is they're trying to see if it is in his acting, right? And I happen to believe another theory, and I was going to go into this week anyway. I planned this out on Monday, and Glenn Beck actually did it on his radio show too. I want to go into a little bit deeper of a conversation than what he even had, because he has to go over things quickly. But let's take a look at Jim Carrey in this interview first, and then I want to show you another video too. So let's take a look.
Carrey, yes.
What?
I've covered a lot of fashion weeks. This is the first time I've run into Jim Carrey. Wait, tell me, is it true you're wandering the streets? You need a date to the party? What's up?
No. I'm doing just fine. I just, there's no meaning to any of this. So I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am.
They're celebrating.
You got to admit it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons,
in
boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. It's like icons. Do you believe in icons? I don't believe in personalities. I don't believe that you exist, but there is a wonderful fragrance in the air.
You don't believe certain icons have the power to make change, to think differently, to be bold, to inspire others? Artistry, you're one of them.
On the good foot. Ha! Yeah. You shut it down now. Yeah, no, I don't believe in icons. I don't believe in personalities. I believe that peace lies beyond personality, beyond invention and disguise, beyond the red S that you wear on your chest that makes bullets bounce off. I believe that it's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself. And I don't care.
But Jim, you got really dressed up for the occasion. You look good.
No, I didn't
that an
get dressed
accident?
up. I didn't get dressed up.
Who did?
There is no me.
There's no you.
No.
We're not here. This is a dream?
There's just things happening. And there are clusters of tetrahedrons moving around together.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's happening in our world right now? Because there is a lot of news that actually is relevant that's not that
Here's
uplifting.
the thing. It's not our world.
None
That's
of this
the
is
key.
real?
Nope.
So you're just passing
We don't
through.
matter. We don't matter.
Oh, wow.
There's the good news.
Okay.
Lots of stuff going on there, right? I'm going to say this. He was saying things along a religious line.
Mm-hmm.
He was also saying things about these type of events, these award shows and everything, that I've been saying for years, which is these self-patting on the backs celebrities and stuff like that go to these award shows, and it's panels of people that pick out the winners, usually in almost every case, where they're just patting each other on the back for doing a good job of pretending to be someone actually more important than who they are.
Yeah.
Have you seen Jerry Seinfeld?
I was just,
No.
Jerry Seinfeld. Yeah, we'll find the clip and you can put it in here.
He said it as he's accepting the award to the people in the audience.
Awesome.
Your whole career as a comedian is about making fun of pretentious, high-minded, self-congratulatory BS events like this one. The whole feeling in this room of reverence and honoring is the exact opposite of everything I have wanted my life to be about. I really don't want to be up here. I feel very, very honored, but it's just that awards are stupid. It's all a big jerk off. It is. Because awards don't mean a damn thing. It's stupid. They're all stupid. All the award shows on TV. I mean, honestly, it is beyond me that we feel the need to set aside a night to give out these jag-off bowling trophies 6 times a year so all these people can pat each other on the back about how much money they're making boring the piss out of half the world. And if I hadn't already won all these awards, I would not be talking like this. I'm just, sick of all these actors and, I don't know why we're so fascinated with actors in this culture. They haven't got a thought in their stupid bedhead, hairdo, mini brains. Why? We must honor this man. Why? He pretended to be Bob Johnson. He's a genius, I tell you. It's genius what he's doing. Playing dress up and pretend is not genius, ladies and gentlemen. It's not genius. Roll the cameras, put on these clothes, stand there, ready, say what we told you to say. Fantastic. He did it. Give this man a huge golden trophy. He's a damn genius.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're looking up.
Yeah, I will look at that. Yeah. But also, I've also said in the past, like, you really want to do an award show like that, do it for our military. Like, throw up people that have done actual good things for this country and give them awards in front of America.
I think the thing is, I think a lot of the military, I mean, kind of going off of your initial response and just seeing and knowing my friend Eric that I told you about too, those are the kind of people that don't want that.
Probably not.
That kind of thing,
but in regards to actually warranting something.
Oh, yeah, they're warranted.
Even the awards you get from the military are.
Okay. Well, so he's going into this. He's talking about the award show being meaningless. He's talking about that. He talks a little bit more about non-existence, and you're not really here, and none of this matters. And essentially, in a grand scheme of things, if you are a religious person figuring things out, you're like, yeah, this is but a, as my pastor always says, but a whiff, like the life here and everything. It's but a puff of air, and then the eternity is what you focus on, because that's where everything really is. And
in that same direction, he did just suffer a loss.
Yes, and I was going to go into that, but if you want to talk about it, you're more than welcome to.
Were you going to go into what's going on legally?
Yeah,
as a result of that?
Yep. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I know it, but go ahead.
Oh, well, I just know that he suffered a loss. It was a suicide, correct? It was his girlfriend at the time. Oh, and I know that the family, I believe it's the brother?
The mother.
Of the girl is suing him.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only imagine... That's the one side of me that says that looks at that and goes, well, maybe because of that he found something spiritual or religious, or he might be very depressed and actually having some sort of breakdown. Like there's an actual catalyst there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That could.
And that video alone would question me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he's right. So essentially, what happened is they broke up. She somehow got her hands on multiple medications that were high grade, Percocet, what Michael Jackson died from, propofol or something like that, and a couple other things. And she put on Twitter "This is the end. I hope I was a light to the world" or something like that, and took all these pills and died.
Yep.
Her mother is suing him, and I think it's still an ongoing case. because she believes that Carrey actually provided her the pills. Okay, so I agree with Brant. This video alone would have me questioning, is he finding faith in the darkest of times? And I believe that most people come to faith at the darkest hour and hitting rock bottom a lot of times. I know certainly I'm going to get a little, personal on this, but when I had cancer and I was in the hospital, I realized that there's a fork in the road that people can take, which is you can either blame God, like all the people that say, well, if God really existed, how could he let children die or people get cancer or wars happen and stuff like that? To which I would say, and I'm not going to get, pastors would rip me apart for this, I'm sure. But listen, if we lived in a utopia and had nothing to complain about, when people are at their highest points, they are not thankful for what's going on around them, typically. And they wouldn't know who to thank for a perfect world that we live in. And we are often reminded that evil does exist in the world, and we need to cry out for help to God sometimes in our darkest hours. Now, that being said, you can either turn away from God and say, why would you do this? Why would you forsake me, as Jesus did and everything? And say, if God existed, he wouldn't allow this to happen anyway. Or, in my case, I sat there in my room thinking to myself, okay, God, if I'm alive right now and I'm sitting in this bed, what do you need to use me for? And often you won't get an answer like you want it to, which is a voice in your ear, but things fall into place over time, and you realize that a plan is put out for you if you're paying attention, that there are no coincidences, right? And I think that sounds spacey. I understand that can sound spacey, but that's kind of what Jim is doing here, right?
Putting another perspective on the same thing you're saying, there was a sermon that I listened to that a friend of mine, Pastor Mike, put out about a year ago, maybe two, called, God didn't actually say that. Things that we commonly, right. And one of them was, God never gives you more than you can handle. And the message that day was more or less that God frequently gives us more than we can handle because it forces you to rely on and lean on God. And so, why do bad things happen? There's a combination of free will. I think there's, original sin plays a huge part of it. And also, we're frequently given more than we can handle, so we lean on God, but people don't always lean on God. And that leads to human evil things.
So what I was going back to here is the fact that this interview could be taken out of context on its own. But within the last 2 weeks, there was another video that came out on Jim Carrey. And I don't know the specifics on this, but I believe he went to a group of people that are ex-prisoners that are trying to rehabilitate themselves and come together and actually work on becoming better and parts of society. Wait till you hear what he says in this one. So let's take a look at that real quick.
And I want to speak to the fact that I believe that this room is filled with God, and that you are heroes to me, and I admire you. Because when you step through these doors and you decide to be a part of this family, you've made a decision to transcend and to leave darkness behind. And it takes a champion to make that decision. And I really want to speak to the fact that I've had some challenges in the last couple of years myself. Ultimately, I believe that suffering leads to salvation. And in fact, it's the only way. That we have to somehow accept, not deny, but feel our suffering and feel our losses, and then we make one of two decisions. We either decide to go through the gate of resentment, which leads to vengeance, which leads to self-harm, which leads to harm to others, or we go through the gate of forgiveness, which leads to grace. And your being here is an indication that you've made that decision already. You've made the decision to walk through the gate of forgiveness to grace, just as Christ did, on the cross. He suffered terribly, and he was broken by it to the point of doubt and a feeling of absolute abandonment, which all of you felt. And then there was a decision to be made. And the decision was to look upon the people who were causing that suffering, or the situation that was causing that suffering, with compassion and with forgiveness. And that's what opens the gates of heaven for all of us. So I wish that for all of you. I wish that for myself. I know that, no matter what I've suffered, most of you have suffered worse than that. But that's why I admire you, because you're here, and you will have grace because this decision has been made. So I'm so glad to be with you and to be a part of this. Thank you, Father Greg. Thank you, John.
First off, weird to hear a celebrity talking like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen? I'm just wondering now because I haven't seen that before. And you have what's happening recently with Justin Bieber.
I haven't heard about it.
He canceled his entire tour in the middle of the tour and started spending all the time at church. And the only person he's pretty much been seen out with public lately is his pastor. And he's been talking much the same way. It's even weirder to see two Hollywood figures.
Right.
Large Hollywood figures.
Yep.
You want to chime in, Al?
Well, I mean, that's the first I heard that, so that is pretty interesting.
That was deep.
To hear,
that was some deep stuff.
I was
Yeah.
wondering for a minute there if he was just going to go spiritual. And then he went straight Jesus Christ.
He was talking about grace, forgiveness, about, coming to salvation was one of the words that was used in there, and pretty amazing. Now, there was also recently released a statistic that we have now reached a point in the United States alone, not taking into consideration the world, that Christianity, people that claim to be Christians in the United States, is now below 50% and has been dropping over the years. Obviously, you can see that type of thing. And to go along with what you guys are talking about, we're seeing sparks of rejuvenation in circles that typically don't talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, hey, if Trump took the country by surprise, certainly there could be a rejuvenation in religion as well. And I pray that does happen,
It's such a strange time, too.
Yeah, no kidding.
Where, talk about a conflict where, everything in the media, Hollywood is portrayed as so, anti. What's the liberal devil now? It's the cisgendered white Christian male. So that's. I'm curious to see how it's going to play out.
Anything else on that, guys?
It's just weird to hear him talking like that.
But the other thing that you have to point out in this case is the fact that this is what the other video is what the media is focusing on and what everybody's talking about, because it leads to immediate conversations like YouTube jumped in with each other with what is he doing? Is he having a mental breakdown, or is this method acting or whatever? But then you see that other video.
Yeah.
And you are both pausing during the video, and we're all catching each other's glances during it, and something else is going on there, and something for the good.
You know what irritates me?
Well, there's a lot that irritates.
I saw the first video. All right, show of hands. Who saw the first video before we watched it tonight?
I did. I heard it on actually a sports talk radio.
Yeah.
They were playing it.
Yep.
How many people saw the second video before right now?
Yeah, man.
Why?
Why? Because
I want to bet there's 50 different. I bet you type in Jim Carrey and there's the first 50 of them are that first
absolutely.
video.
Yep.
Good luck finding that second one, because I guarantee you it's being buried by YouTube or Facebook or whoever else.
Yeah, absolutely is.
That's what irritates me.
Yeah, I happened to come across the God Talk video last week because there was one article. Usually it's a string of articles that all pertain to things because they're trending.
Yeah.
But it was one article that happened to pop up about Jim Carrey getting spiritual, and I happened to watch it. So I did see it, but yeah, you're absolutely right.